Hey, this is War 7 of Season 60, up against AOH, and I know a few guys there, so this should be a fun war. Bringing in Sentinel, Dark Phoenix, and my rank 3 Negasonic Teenage Warhead. Starting off on Path 3 in Section 1, this is the Chitinous Thorns, Sloped Armor, and Enhanced Bleed node. Viv is a decent path split here, just because, or at least if Kushala's banned, she's a decent split here, which she was this war because as long as you have someone fully bleed immune, like you can't really deal with this node if the defender has a bunch of armors with bleed resistant champs just because of the enhanced bleed. Like Viv has 16 armors, and I forget how much bleed potency you get per armor, but it would be enough to melt you if you just like made contact a couple times. So we're using Sentinel, we're fully bleed immune, and Sentinel at max analysis can gain extra ability accuracy on his personal debuffs, which is why our shocks are still going through and applying, even though the hits are technically glancing. I'm using mediums and lights more than I should, just because they also power drain me, or at least when Viv is struck by a medium or a light, you get power drained. And here we throw SP2. It only gave me 7 incinerates, which is kind of odd. I think it's usually 10, so it could be some weird interaction or just something I'm missing. But yeah, these shocks from the heavies are really taking her down, and I don't punish the SP2 mainly because I kind of forgot Viv's animations. Like it had been quite a while since I fought her. But yeah, these 2 shocks are just gonna kill her. And yeah, that fight is super safe. There's like pretty much 0 risk of dying there. So yeah, definitely a good matchup. Moving on, this is the Sixth Sense, which is 50% chance for the defender to auto block your lights and mediums, and the Strike Counter Combat Power Rate node. We're using Negasonic Teenage Warhead here. I considered using my rank 4 Jean Grey, but Negasonic has a longer stun off of her kit, and I kind of just figured it'd be safer. So yeah, we get our SP2 off. You kind of need a Power Start 1 because of the Strike Counter Combat Power Rate node, as well as Black Panther's Awakened ability. He basically gains a chance to go unstoppable. On when he's struck with a heavy, he has a chance to go unstoppable based on how many charges. I think as long as it's more than 10 charges, he has a chance to go unstoppable, which can really mess you up, especially because, Negasonic herself has no unstoppable counter, or like an auto block counter. We're just kind of relying on the extra stun duration and the damage over time effects from the SP2. And like so far, it's going fine. We are taking a lot of block damage. Like I haven't been hit once, and I'm like below 80%. Which I guess is just because she's not a super tanky champion herself. But yeah, that fight is less than a minute, and a pretty safe, comfortable matchup. Moving on to Path 7 in Section 2. This is the Be Like Water and Physical Thorns node. Negasonic herself ignores both of these nodes, so if you have a defender that, doesn't wall off her damage source, which is like high energy resist, because she's pretty much just all incinerates, like her basics. She crits a lot. I think she's a pretty high natural crit rate, but she doesn't do a ton of damage, especially not against defenders who have, higher or can gain more energy resist throughout a fight. So yeah, this fight, punching up, it does feel like kind of a slog. Like it feels pretty slow. Looking back, I kind of forgot that M.O.D.O.K cannot parry stun non-contact, meaning I probably could have been a lot more aggressive and just like hitting into him when his auto block was active, because he wouldn't have been able to parry stun me anyways. Like, I'll go for heavies, and I think at one point I will lose these 18 incinerates, but I think as long as you kind of just play slow and safe, like this is a very manageable matchup. We're just only baiting special 1s, no need to push him to a special 2. Kind of just going for heavies to reset, and he'll tick down, quick enough. I don't think this fight ends up being longer than 2 minutes. It might be, I could be wrong. But like here, I'll lose my incinerates, and I'm like, well, okay, I have to go and build back all the way to an SP2, which is, not the end of the world. Again, like I'd rather just bait the SP1. Like I do know the SP2 decks. It's just easier to deal with the SP1. And yeah, once again, we're going for heavies when we probably technically didn't have to. But again, I'm not playing for time here. I think we were winning by a very comfortable margin at this point. So I was kind of just putting safety first in all of these fights. And, I'm not like super concerned. Again, I can get hit a good few times here, and I throw this SP1 just like fully into block, and thankfully don't get punished for it. But yeah, he goes and ticks out. So yeah, like a sub 2-minute fight, I think, if it ever loads. Yeah, like 149, which is not terrible. Obviously not super quick, but I'm not going to complain too much. Moving on, this is the standing in fear and like cleanse combat power rate. Or cleanse energize, like when the defender cleanses a debuff off themselves, they gain an energize passive. And when they get enough energizes, I think when it's 5 energizes they've gained, so when they've cleansed 5 debuffs or purified 5 debuffs, the defender will go unblockable. Mantis herself does not have any actual cleanse or purify off of her kit except for her special one. So as long as we're pushing her to special 2, we won't ever have to interact with her gaining extra combat power rate. So doesn't really matter here. This is basically a no-this Mantis as long as we don't let her special one. But even if she did, it wouldn't be the end of the world. In fact, it might have honestly been helpful in hindsight in pushing her to more special 2s in the future. But doesn't really matter. This fight's been going for like 30-something seconds and she's already down to 20%. And yeah, combo, relic, and I think she just dies here. So yeah, a much faster Negasonic fight, thankfully. Only 41 seconds, but again, punching even in a much more simple matchup. Last fight is the boss node. There is a future Antman here. We're using Dark Phoenix. We've sent this fight a few times in the past, and it's pretty proven established that this fight is a very good matchup, and it's what GT prefers to send to future Antman bosses. I think people send. I've seen others send maybe Werewolf by Night or Vox or something like that. But Dark Phoenix is not only just very good in terms of her damage output, which is surprising because she's mainly considered like a very potent punishing defender, but her damage output on offense is actually really good. Like I think I play this fight about as safely as you can without punishing any special 2s, just playing super safe, blocking everything, and it still doesn't even take 3 minutes, which is, better damage output than I'd expect for something that people consider or for someone in Dark Phoenix that people consider primarily a defender, which he still is, but it was just kind of cool seeing how much damage he can really do on attack. And once we get to 15 Ember charges from ending in mediums and using special 1, we'll throw a special 2. And I think we just go for it here. And yeah, we get a big Fury, and this also does drop our Ember charges down to 8. So we just build back up. The main rotation here is just use medium enders to gain Ember charges, use special 1s to gain Ember charges, and then when we get to 15, drop a special 2 for a big Fury, and just pretty much repeat that. Like our mediums and special 1s are critting for like 30-something thousand damage, which is pretty impressive. Even just about a minute and a half into the fight, this boss is already down to half HP. And yeah, again, we're just playing super safe. I'm not dexing these. I'm just going to kind of dex the last hit and reset. I do cover the punish there because he was closer to me from the wall. You can get parried doing that, which is just something to keep note of because if you dex the last hit of the SP2 a little late, you might just get parried trying to punish it. But there, kind of felt like going for it. And here, we'll dex the first hit, just kind of block these, dex the last hit. No need to punish. And again, we're at 15 Ember charges. We're kind of just looking for an opening here so we can just special 2. I go for the heavy because, I just want to pulverize the armor. Throw the special 2, gets 1 armor back. And again, we got the big Fury. We're down to Ember charges. We're down to 8 Ember charges again, so we're just going to go back to doing our special 1s. And here, he has extra energize, like he has extra combat power rate, so I'm just trying to bait the special 2. He doesn't really seem to want to throw it, and he finally does. So yeah, he's kind of just burning from these Nova Flames already. Like, I think they took him down to like 15% or something, and that SP1 did like 40k. So yeah, Dark Phoenix, mainly a defender, but super strong on attack and also a ton of fun to use. And yeah, this was played like pretty much for maximum safety, and it was like 2.5 minutes, like 2 minutes 38. And yeah, we did end up winning this war. We died 3 times. They died 19. We tested a couple matchups at the end, so it probably should have been a little cleaner. But GG's to AOH. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video.